A broad, flat stretch of open country under a pale sky, crossed by two parallel bitumen lanes that run straight to the horizon without a curve. A corrugated iron shed sits back from the road near a row of dry eucalyptus trees. A wire fence, silver with age, runs beside the shoulder for 50 kilometers without changing angle. There is nothing in the frame to suggest a crisis. No broken ground, no police tape, no warning signs in high visibility yellow. Then you look at the crash database held by the State Road Authority. On this single 70-kilometre ribbon of bitumen, more drivers have lost their lives over the last 5 years per head of traffic than on almost any urban highway on the continent. Yet the road has no sharp bends, no blind crests, and no high-density intersections. What is remarkable is not that the danger exists, but that it remained invisible to official planning frameworks for decades, precisely because the geometry looked so completely unthreatening on a map. How does a landscape that presents every visual appearance of absolute safety turn into one of the most persistent death traps in the country? Under Format B, this systematic survey examines 43 distinct zones across the states and mainland territories, counting down from the 43rd position to the single most hazardous point on the map. Before the halfway mark, we will examine an isolated mountain reservoir in Victoria, where a sudden drop in water temperature can paralyze a swimmer in less than 60 seconds. And near the end of the list, a quiet stretch of tidal mudflats in northern Western Australia, where the danger does not arrive from the sky or the road, but rises out of the water on an incoming tide that moves faster than a human can run. For generations, the standard view of these ordinary rural districts, isolated highways and local waterways, was that their hazards were simple, predictable, and easily managed by common sense. That assumption was entirely reasonable in its time, built on decades of local familiarity and basic routine. The first crack in that logic appears when you overlay modern emergency response data onto the physical geography, revealing that the true danger is almost never where the warning signs are posted. The city of Oakland and the East Bay Flatlands in California carry a long history of concentrated gun violence, where 54 homicides were recorded in a single recent year, despite an overall 22% drop in serious crime across the municipal boundary. Alpine County, positioned along the high crest of the Sierra Nevada, represents the smallest population base in the state, yet its primary arterial routes, State Route 88 over Carson Pass and State Route 4 over Ebbets Pass, cross dozens of active avalanche chutes and unshielded drop-offs with grades exceeding 20%. In Amador County, the narrow corridor where State Routes 49 and 88 intersect sees regular head-on collisions, while the fast-flowing McKellamne River masks sub-zero snowmelt currents that cause multiple drownings every summer. The town of Paradise in Butte County became the site of the deadliest wildfire in modern state history on November 8, 2018, when a broken electrical hook sparked the campfire, destroying 95% of the structures and killing 85 residents after local evacuation routes bottlenecked instantly. Calaveras County bears the scar of the 2015 Butte Fire, which destroyed hundreds of homes and claimed 2 lives, while the deep waters of the New Maloney's Reservoir and the rapids of the Stanislaus River maintain a steady annual fatality rate outside the fire season. Running through Colusa County, the Interstate 5 transport corridor produces high-speed, heavy vehicle collisions during winter tool fog season, complemented by the deceptively calm Sacramento River, which conceals freezing undercurrents. The Iron Triangle neighborhood in Contra Costa County long recorded high rates of urban firearm violence until a targeted municipal peace fellowship reduced annual gun fatalities to just 6 cases in 2025, demonstrating how geographic risk profiles can be altered through direct intervention. Pelican Bay State Prison in Del Norte County sits as a maximum security enclosure surrounded by coastal redwood forest, where a specialized security housing unit held over 1,200 individuals in continuous isolation until structural legal reforms altered its operational mandate. The South Fork of the American River in El Dorado County draws thousands of recreational users each summer, yet its snowmelt-fed waters hover near freezing temperatures year-round, triggering sudden immersion hypothermia that claims multiple lives annually along the Highway 50 corridor. Highway 99 through Fresno County has been designated by traffic safety analysts as one of the most dangerous roadways in the United States, recording nearly 90 fatalities per year across a 5-year study window due to zero-visibility valley fog and unlit rural stretches. In Glenn County, the intersection of Interstate 5 and Highway 162 presents a persistent multi-vehicle collision hazard during winter inversion events, while the surrounding agricultural acreage fell entirely within the footprint of the 1 million-acre August Complex fire in 2020. Humboldt County, located 300 kilometers north of San Francisco, records a missing persons rate of over 700 cases per 100,000 residents, nearly double the state average, driven by dense backcountry terrain and seasonal agricultural labor shifts. The drying basin of the Salton Sea in Imperial County exposes toxic agricultural runoff beds, where wind-borne dust has been directly linked by respiratory studies to measurable reductions in pediatric lung development among local shoreline communities. Inside Death Valley National Park in Inyo County, extreme temperatures reached a record daily average of 42.5 degrees Celsius in July 2024, yet long-term park casualty records between 2007 and 2023 reveal that motor vehicle crashes on remote bitumen stretches accounted for 25% of total deaths, outranking direct heat exposure. The Kern River in Kern County flows out of high Sierra snowfields into a narrow granite canyon, where heavy hydraulic currents and freezing water temperatures have claimed 348 lives since local authorities began tracking fatalities on a tally board in 1968. Corcoran State Prison in Kings County, constructed as a high-security facility in 1988, established a troubled operational record during its early decade, when internal investigations documented widespread violence and institutional shootings within its highest security yards. Clear Lake in Lake County regularly records violent crime figures near 6.5 incidents per 1,000 residents, a structural challenge exacerbated by a long-term police department staffing shortage operating far below state average ratios per capita. High Desert State Prison in Lassen County sits within an isolated high-plateau landscape, flanked by Highway 36, a 225-kilometer mountain road containing more than 1,800 unlit curves and steep drop-offs heading toward Red Bluff. The Angeles Crest Highway in Los Angeles County winds through 106 kilometers of the San Gabriel Mountains, where steep mountain geometry and blind corners make motorcycle collisions responsible for nearly half of all fatal crashes along State Route 2. State Route 99 through Madera County combines narrow legacy lanes and heavy freight transport with unlit rural sections, while seasonal drownings in the San Joaquin River and Bass Lake add a parallel water hazard during peak summer months. Along the coastline of Marin County, Stinson Beach lies within the oceanic region known as the Red Triangle, yet statistical life-saving records show swimmers face a drown hazard from rip currents and sudden waves that vastly outweighs the risk of marine predator encounters. The 400-foot cable route on Half Dome in Mariposa County has seen 25 fatal falls as of 2026, with slick, wet granite during sudden thunderstorm events turning the 45-degree rock face into an unholdable surface. The backcountry of Mendocino County, forming part of the rugged Emerald Triangle, combines dense forested terrain with isolated agricultural operations, contributing to elevated missing persons cases and hazards along the headwaters of the Russian River. Highway 99 in Merced County records severe off-road and wrong-way collisions, including incidents where vehicles cross unlit medians into waterways like Bear Creek during late-night transit hours. Modoc County in the far northeastern corner of the state presents extreme isolation along highways 395 and 299, where vehicle breakdowns or crashes occur hours away from regional trauma facilities. In Mono County, sub-zero water temperatures at Convict Lake caused a multi-person drowning disaster in 1990, while active volcanic vents beneath Mammoth Mountain emit unmonitored carbon dioxide pockets that settle invisibly into deep winter snowpacks. The city of Salinas in Monterey County experienced severe urban firearm violence peaking in 2015, with a homicide rate of 19.7 per 100,000, before targeted federal enforcement operations disrupted localized gang structures. The 2017 Atlas Fire in Napa County burned 20,000 hectares and destroyed nearly 800 structures, killing 6 residents along Atlas Peak Road when wind-driven flame fronts overtook isolated ridge properties. Donner Summit in Nevada County averages over 10 meters of snow annually, becoming the site of the nation's deadliest modern avalanche in February 2026, when a massive slab slide on Castle Peak buried a guided group, killing 9. The Wedge at Newport Beach in Orange County features an artificial rock jetty that refracts ocean swells into massive, chaotic 20-foot shore breaks, causing hundreds of severe impacts and rescue operations during summer swell cycles. In Placer County, the winter hazards of Donner Pass and Interstate 80 create severe multi-vehicle pileups during mountain whiteouts, sharing the historical impact of the 2026 Castle Peak slide and the 1982 Alpine Meadows avalanche. Plumas County encompasses the Feather River Canyon, a high-risk wildfire corridor where the 2021 Dixie Fire consumed over 389,000 hectares, alongside the hazardous, winding turns of Highway 70. Interstate 10 across Riverside County recorded 31 traffic deaths in a single year, driven by long-distance transport, fatigue, and regional elevated alcohol-involved collision statistics. How do these disparate geographical risks, established across decades of environmental shifts and structural developments, begin to intersect when unexpected weather events force thousands of people into the very same narrow escape corridors at once? The San Benito River Corridor in San Benito County includes the narrow, unlit, winding gradient of State Route 152 over Pacheco Pass, historically known as Blood Alley due to fatal crossover collisions along switchbacks that lack physical median barriers. In San Bernardino County, the Cajon Pass on Interstate 15 presents a 5-kilometer descent near Hesperia that saw 19 traffic fatalities across a 3-year period, while the municipal area of San Bernardino maintains violent crime figures around 15 incidents per 1,000 residents. Following the elevation of the southern maritime border barrier to 9 meters near San Diego, clinical research published in 2024 documented an increase in coastal drownings, rising from a single recorded death in the 4 years prior to 33 incidents in the 4 years following, as individuals attempted to navigate offshore rip currents. The Tenderloin district in San Francisco recorded a major concentration of the city's 806 drug toxicity fatalities in 2023, while Ocean Beach along the western coast presents severe rip currents that cause regular offshore rescue operations. The city of Stockton in San Joaquin County logged 54 homicides in 2024, driving the broader region to a violent crime rate of 72 incidents per 1,000 residents, nearly double the state baseline. State Route 46 near Shandon in San Luis Obispo County marks the historic site of James Dean's fatal 1955 collision, where high speeds and unseparated oncoming traffic generated 42 fatalities across a single decade, complemented by rollover hazards at the nearby Oceano Dunes off-road recreation area. Mavericks Reef, situated 1.5 kilometers off Half Moon Bay in San Mateo County, converts deep ocean swells into massive 18-meter breaking faces over shallow rock shelves, resulting in fatal hold-downs that have claimed elite professional big-wave surfers. The January 2018 Montecito debris flow in Santa Barbara County occurred when heavy rainfall struck the bare burn scar left by the Thomas Fire, releasing hundreds of thousands of tons of mud and boulders that swept down steep canyons, destroying hundreds of homes and killing 23 people. State Route 17 in Santa Clara and Santa Cruz counties winds through 43 kilometers of steep mountain terrain, where blind S-curves and sudden downpours cause hundreds of vehicle spinouts annually, prompting dedicated multi-agency highway safety task forces. The Carr Fire in Shasta County, ignited in July 2018 by a mechanical failure on State Route 299, burned over 92,000 hectares and generated a massive fire whirl with winds measured at 230 kilometers per hour that killed 8 individuals, including 3 emergency responders. How do these localized environmental drivers, operational gaps, and infrastructure bottlenecks compound across neighboring districts when large-scale systems begin to fail simultaneously? High in the mountain spine of Sierra County, Yuba Pass presents an extreme winter hazard where avalanche chutes cut across Highway 49, operating in an isolated alpine zone with roughly 3,000 permanent residents who face prolonged delays for emergency response services during severe regional blizzards. Mount Shasta in Siskiyou County, standing at 4,321 meters, represents a high-threat stratovolcano that attracts thousands of non-technical climbers annually, leading to frequent fatal falls down Avalanche Gulch when sudden weather shifts transform snow slopes into unholdable ice sheets. The municipal district of Vallejo in Solano County experienced a sharp escalation in violent crime, with homicide figures exceeding 25 incidents in 2024, driven by ongoing gang conflicts and operational staffing deficits within the local law enforcement structure. In Sonoma County, the 2017 Tubbs Fire consumed entire residential suburbs in Santa Rosa, destroying over 5,600 buildings and killing 22 people, while the lower stretches of the Russian River present a constant seasonal hazard, claiming 31 drowning victims since 2019. Stanislaus County combines high-fatality rural road corridors with heavy transit traffic along Highway 99, where extreme winter inversion fog regularly causes multi-vehicle pileups across unlit agricultural intersections. Sutter County sits within a low-lying alluvial basin dependent on the Feather River levee system, which suffered catastrophic structural breaches in 1955 at Shanghai Bend, killing 38 people, and again in 1997, forcing the emergency evacuation of 100,000 residents. In Tehama County, high-speed freight collisions along Interstate 5 form a continuous risk, though the region was permanently marked in November 2017 when a single gunman launched a multi-site shooting across the rural Rancho Tehama Reserve, resulting in 5 deaths and 18 injuries. The backcountry of Trinity County encompasses the Trinity Alps Wilderness and the Trinity River, where sub-zero bottom drain water releases from deep reservoirs induce sudden hypothermia in summer swimmers, while remote alpine terrain creates multi-day delays for search and rescue operations. Tulare County lies within the San Joaquin Valley Regional Transit Corridor, where violent crime rates hit 603 per 100,000 residents in 2024, 25% above the state average, compounded by high-fatality agricultural transport routes. The Tuolumne River in Tuolumne County maintains powerful glacier-fed snowmelt rapids that cause annual drownings, running parallel to high-volume fire corridors where the 2013 Rim Fire scorched over 103,000 hectares of high-country timber. Ventura County experienced 2 compound disasters within days in November 2018, when a mass shooting at the Borderline Bar and Grill claimed 12 lives in Thousand Oaks, immediately followed by the Woolsey Fire, which killed 3 people and destroyed over 1,600 structures. The Yolo Causeway on Interstate 80 in Yolo County spans a 3-kilometer floodplain prone to sudden zero-visibility tuile fog, pushing local highway accident rates to 15 fatalities per 100,000 residents annually, alongside drowning hazards in Cache Creek. In Yuba County, historic flood vulnerabilities along the Feather and Yuba River levees led to the 1997 Arboga breach, destroying 1,000 homes and contributing to a $1.8 billion statewide disaster, while surface currents on local river channels continue to mask dangerous undertows. As these physical systems, infrastructure pressures, and weather extremes converge across state boundaries, what remains when the immediate crisis passes? And how do regional planning bodies calculate the true cost of operating in landscapes where the fundamental geography is working against human settlement? When you examine these zones side by side across the entire territory, the underlying pattern becomes undeniable. What actually kept these hazards invisible for so long was not a lack of data, but a fundamental assumption built into early cartography. The belief that if a landscape looked ordinary, peaceful, and accessible on a standard map sheet, its physical risks were minimal and easily managed. Many questions remain unresolved. State emergency services, Geoscience Australia, and regional councils continue to update risk models, but predicting exactly when high-temperature weather events, flash flooding, or extreme road hazards will intersect remains an ongoing challenge. Landscapes change faster than the map sheets can record them, and infrastructure designed for past conditions is constantly tested by new environmental baselines. The map looks finished, printed, and precise. The ground beneath it is not. Which location in your own state or territory has always struck you as deceptively hazardous despite looking completely ordinary? If you found this breakdown insightful, subscribe to join us for our next deep investigation into the hidden geography of the continent.